Yo, 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 we back in this thing. What's good, Dre?
Doing Sunday, doing the thing, doing the week, doing life, doing it all, trying to do the most,
Mm.
but doing well. It's been a month now that I've been in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow, it's been a month?
Exactly.
Goodness.
Yes. I just had to go through.
Wow.
I was typing to somebody. I was like, oh, I've been in Philly for like 4 weeks. I'm like, oh snap, it's been a month because October 1st has come and gone since
Mm-hmm.
after October 1st. So here we are, doing pretty well, feeling pretty good. Worked in my garden yesterday.
Hey, now.
And my back is like, ooh, we haven't worked in a garden in a long time.
Over here tending to your garden, brother. You better tend to that back now.
Exactly.
Shoot.
And that means as soon as going to be leaves to be raked, and then it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be snow. Snow.
Mm-hmm.
I have
So
a show.
you gotta keep cash on yourself, brother. Keep a little cash because there's times you gotta catch that person who's walking down the block with the shovel looking to make some change.
Okay.
Keep some cash in the house, man.
Okay, it's good to know. What are prices like these days? It's not
Listen,
$5 anymore.
no. I mean, it depends on how much snow you have. I think reasonable, depending if you want to do like a little stairway or whatnot. That's at least 20, maybe 30, depending on how good they do.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Inflation, baby.
So listen, this game done changed, brother.
I
The
sure
game
have.
done changed.
$20.
Shoot, I'm about to get a shovel. Just start walking through.
Exactly.
There'll be no snow on the ground. I mean, I could pick. You got a little dirt. You want trash? I got leaves. What you need? What you need?
Right. Okay, I ain't mad. I don't knock the hustle anywhere I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I celebrate it. Good for them.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Good
sir. Well,
for them.
congratulations for being here for a month, brother.
Oh, thank you. It's not. It feels good. It feels good. I got a car washing place I like that I
Hey,
go
now,
to.
and I meant to say this last time too, because not only do you have a car washing place, but brother, it seems like you getting your ears lowered.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
know what I mean? I mean, last time I saw you was fresh, brother. I don't know.
I went back to New York for it. It's a hard transition. That's not something you can do right away. You don't know. You're not ready to just walk and sit in somebody's chair. This is the Brown Juice Barbershop.
This is true, brother. Listen, speak your truth, brother. Walk in it. I just need to know.
I went. Okay, so this is the most. That unspoken language between barbers.
Yes.
I went and saw my boy Willis at Well Connected, and he knows I live in Philadelphia. He's like, oh, okay, because I had to book it online. I walked in. He was like, hey, what's up? He was like, it's so good to see you. And I was like, that I brought my butt up to New York to get my hair cut, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'll take advice. Some people, it's okay. Somebody came in and like, oh, you should try so and so. He opened up his shop again. I was like, oh, how did he do doing it? I was like, oh, he was doing home cuts. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you just said it like that. Like, oh, he's doing home cuts.
Oh, he's making house calls. Don't worry about it.
The Rona is real. I'd like to get into that. I think we have a moment of it being very real. We can come to that in a few. But the things that folks have been suggesting, none of them is my Willis. None of them is my Well Connected.
I hear that. But listen, you stay true to yourself and stay true to your barber. I understand.
I gotta work it out though, because that's tolls, the drive. I love the drive. It's good to be back in the city.
Listen, brother. I hear you. It's important to find a good barber and work it out. Look, sometimes me and my barber don't agree, and my barber is me. So sometimes, like, brother, you need to cut. He's like, I don't feel like cutting today, brother. But you only got one person who come to your chair. It don't matter. It does not matter. So
I never spoke about it, but I noticed that day when the beard was down and short after having it was beautiful.
mm-hmm.
The next week it was short, and I was like, what happened? He's like, oh, I had some complications. I had to trim it down. I could see you like mad at somebody. But I was like, you can't be mad at nobody else. Be mad at your barber.
Listen, because sometimes, I mean, this is what it is. Sometimes you gotta start back. You talk about tending to your garden, brother. You gotta tend to your garden sometimes. I had to trim it back down to make sure I started back up, give it the right fertilizer. The beard game is really threatened with the mask. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I will survive. I will prevail.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. I respect it.
Yes, sir.
Respect it and accept it.
So what you rocking, brother?
It's that time of year, and we both are wrapped up into these complicated, beautiful, wonderful, challenging institutions in our entire lives for being young men that were pulled and selected, put through as scholars, and accepted, rejected, entered, kept out of, all kinds of communities and spaces. And I just think it's important to acknowledge all of that. And I'm rocking a shirt from one of the schools I went and spoke at called Lawrence Academy, school up in, I think it's in Massachusetts, and it's one of those schools, like, you can't just get there. You got to like go and check a train somewhere or drive directly there. Like, I imagine back in the day it was horse and buggy, because it's off the beaten path. And it's a great school. I met some great kids. I went there, gave a talk, showed a movie, had good connections. But it's football season, whatever that means right now in the Rona world. But I just felt this shirt. The kid, like, everywhere I went, the kids gave me a shirt, and so I like to rock them. And just thinking about that, what that experience meant after the movie having played on TV last week and all this stuff. And I knew that there's some Oliver Scholars celebration and presenting this week. So I wanted to honor you also and take part in that language.
I appreciate that, brother. I really appreciate that. And you must have a wardrobe full of nice shirts and sweatshirts because, brother, you be speaking everywhere. Yes, and I listen, I gotta get my hoodie game, get it up. But yeah, brother, I was able to, so as you mentioned, I was doing something for Oliver Scholars program. I was at Oliver Scholars back when it was called the Albert G. Oliver program. And the founder of Oliver Scholars, or Albert G. Oliver program, was actually John Hoffman, who was actually my 8th grade high school placement counselor at De La Salle Academy. So De La Salle Academy had a good relationship with Oliver Scholars, and that's where I had come from in terms of my recruitment process to go there. Went to Oliver Scholars program. I applied to 3 different schools. So I told me and my mother had a conversation. I said, I don't want to do day school. I want to do boarding school. And she graciously allowed me to do that. So I applied to Petty, where I ultimately went. I applied to Lawrenceville, and I applied to St. Paul's. Now, a different time, some other plays, maybe we can have a conversation about what my life would have been like.
The 3 you just
mentioned, St. Paul's or Lawrenceville.
The 3, like it's like different universes. Each of their own universe. I can't. I've been to Petty. I haven't been to Petty, but I've been to the other 2, and
we're gonna make that happen, brother. We're gonna make that happen.
It's the other 2 are
listen, and so all great schools. I wasn't trying to go to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I'm like, I went there, and like, honestly, I'm going on a tour. People coming out like for the kids who watch Pokemon, or for some of the older heads who watch Pokemon, I was like the rare Pokemon they never saw. They're like coming out.
It's true.
Some folks like, oh, who's that? Blah blah. Crazy. Other space I went to, Lawrenceville, that was a space I was like, I could be here, but it might be a little different and challenging. Maybe that's something like I felt more comfortable, most comfortable at Petty. So we're gonna have to make that happen, brother. They just had their first inaugural position for a director of diversity and inclusion.
Congratulations, Petty.
Welcome.
Well, yeah, welcome.
So I had a good conversation with some folks on the panel talking about the changing times in terms of how diversity practitioners are in school, what I'm seeing, thinking about the Black ad accounts, thinking about the Black Lives Matter protests, thinking about what it means to survive and thrive in these spaces that we call predominantly white institutions, particularly independent schools, whether boarding or day. We had a good conversation, man, a real good conversation.
I want to ask you a question, but I want to first get us to our beverages.
Let's do that.
Because I think it'll lead. And it connects directly to what you just talked about, but I'm gonna need some time with my beverage. I'm gonna show you mine. I got a new bottle. And I think it's gonna need some work. And I got it, considering it's one month miss, and I always wanted to try this, and I saw it in a little local spot around here. Because in the Pennsylvania area, you can't just walk to the corner store and get booze. You got to go to the state store.
Yes.
Which now it's called like spirits and
fine wine and good spirits.
Fine wine and good spirits. Yes. I love it. So I decided to try some Manhattan rye whiskey. Look at what kind of chill is that?
Non-chill filter.
Non-chill. That's so Philip Manhattan. No chill. Gotta work on this. Look at all that.
Oh, dope. Let me know how that is. I've had their Hudson baby bourbon when I was at a bar before. I had a taste of that. I'm like, this is good. This is good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, how about you? What you sipping?
Well, I'm rocking. I was fortunate enough. I was able to make good on my promise, or at least my hope, when I said I wanted to share some of this with some friends. Had the opportunity to share with some friends that time, you know.
Oh, nice.
So now I'm gonna get a little bit more, you know.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Also, this is the wax is the actual little court thing. Look at that. Like that's
I see
I'm
you.
gonna be pull the wax off too, but that's like the whole situation. Okay.
I see you. I see you.
Inside.
I can't wait to hear the review.
It smells good. Oh God, it smells good.
Had to pour a little extra because I know we got a conversation coming up.
Oh yeah. You heard that, right?
I heard that. Sound like liquid gold, brother.
Okay.
All right, take me through the experience, brother. What you getting? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I haven't been as excited about a new drink in a minute. Like it's not good. Oh, excuse me, this stuff. You know, a little bleep. Got a little bleep.
Let that one rock. We won't get censored by the commission yet. Nah, we good.
Exactly. I'm about to sip without you.
What you want to toast to? What you want to toast? Well, actually, what you want to toast to? Then I'm gonna do a toast.
I'm gonna toast to you being a pioneer in many ways. You go forward into spaces that have not been dealt with and claimed in numerous ways. Claim's not the right word, but spaces that needed your presence. And you jump into those, and I appreciate that. So I toast you for that.
I appreciate that, good brother.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Good to know.
Wow.
Good to know. Keep your notes.
And it's still happening?
Mm-hmm.
No chill. That's how I read it. I was like, oh no, it says non-chill. I was like, it's looking say no chill.
No chill. Yo, that's beautiful.
Really good.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna have to. All right, I'm putting it on my list. I'll put it on my list.
Whole grain mash, no non-chill filter, New York straight rye whiskey.
That's good to know. Good to know.
Sorry. Okay.
You good to know, brother. I just want to toast to you. Want to toast to you because you had a phenomenal week. You know, Prep School Negro aired on WHYY. You know, folks have it buzzing. It's one of those things that continues to reveal something new every time you watch it. I've heard a number of my colleagues and other people in different spaces saying, you know, I get something different out of it each time. And the fact that dropped the same day, you had an essay that dropped, which was dope, talking about, you know, when you first heard the term psychological homelessness, talking about isolation, talking about the whole notions of belonging. This work that you continue to do, brother, is a gift that keeps on giving. So I hope you get even an inkling of what you've given right back to you, brother.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I got my second sip. I almost forgot the toast. I was like, what'd you say? You know, I've looked at these bottles because they're, you know, in an old spot near my old space in the East Village. They had a whole wall of like Hudson whiskey rye, Hudson whiskey bourbon, Hudson whiskey, all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy some Manhattan rye in Philadelphia.
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm looking at the bottle like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You know what your interests are. Who you be with? Like looking at it like that.
I love it. I love it.
I need consent before I pour it out of the bottle. I'm like,
that's right.
So I had a question for you. You mentioned that you spoke on a panel, two parts. So if you can tell us what the name of the panel is, and then, if it's possible, what did this whole experience? We dealt with it, but to go to zero in, if you were forced to answer, what does this experience of being a child pulled on a scholarship through a program to attend a private prep school? What does that mean to you?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, right?
First, the name of the panel was um, road to like the road to um, equity, diversity, and inclusion, something along those lines. It
Mm-hmm.
was really talking about, I think access was in there too. So really getting at the whole notion of how things have been and trying to give some information to the Oliver scholars and particularly their families about what they might be experiencing, maybe affirming or providing a different perspective about, what it meant to be an Oliver scholar for us and also what it might mean for them. Uh, and just really talk about these whole notions of equity, diversity, inclusion, access, belonging, all those pieces. So we had conversations that were really talking about those things. Um, what it meant for me is it was one of those full circle moments when it's like, I went through this program. This program was monumental in my life. To have the opportunity presented to me to get out, so to speak. I've shared this before. We've been on panels before, but like I orchestrated my way out of Harlem because I saw that I had options in the city, of course, but I didn't want to do a day school for a number of different reasons. I wanted to get out. I wanted to leave home. I wanted to have access to a different opportunity. So that's why I chose boarding school and the boarding school route. And I'm thankful that my mother allowed me to do it. In terms of what it meant to me, just being asked to be on that panel meant so much to me because again, it, it, it gives me the opportunity to pay it forward and it gives me the opportunity to give back, but it also reminds me that what I'm doing is making a difference. It reminds me that even though some folks might not tell me, there are folks who are watching, there are folks who are listening, there are folks who are checking for your boy in certain spaces. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we feel like, oh, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. It's not going to have this much of an impact. And I can only imagine that you might feel that way sometimes with the films that you do, right? I'm sure you do, because like, is this really reaching the folks I want to reach? How are people receiving it? Like, what is this going to mean moving forward? All those questions. So to have the opportunity to come back and present and serve or be of service to a program in its new iteration, with a new CEO, with a new brand in a lot of ways, because we're going from the Albert G. Oliver program to Oliver Scholars program. The whole symposium was called Opportunity Unlocked. So really think about how do you unlock opportunity. And it was really one of those feelings where it's like, wow, this is one I need to write down. This is one that I really need to sit down and think about and say, you know what? You're doing, or you're walking in your purpose. You're walking in your purpose. And sometimes you feel like you might not be walking in your purpose, or sometimes you feel like you need to be walking somewhere else because you're like, I don't got time for this. But it's a reminder to stay on the path. In terms of my situation, it's culture shock, being pulled away from a place where I was in Harlem, and I always get the caveat, pre-gentrified Harlem, where folks look like me, they walk like me, they talk like me, they appreciate my aesthetic, they celebrate my culture, they share my culture and my aesthetic. You go for a place where you are the thing that is there, to go to a place where you are an other. So you become othered, you become overlooked, you become underappreciated. In some cases, people see you as a threat to their own existence, or a threat to the space that they claim for themselves that they thought was a country club as opposed to a school. All these things. And you have to navigate those spaces. So one of the questions actually that was on the panel was, what advice would you give folks having gone through this experience? What advice would you give them going through the similar experience right now? Is it information that would have changed, or do you think it's pretty much the same? And I said, I think the more things change, the more things stay the same sometimes. I just think that, it might be manifesting itself in different ways right now. However, I think this information is something that we can continue to talk about until forever, right?
Yeah, completely.
So just think about the spaces that I'm in. I'm like, here's some of the things you need to know. I was like, one, knowledge of self is essential. Always know that. Knowledge of self is essential. If you don't know who you are, someone else is going to tell you. Someone else is going to tell you that you're not this, you're not that, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, that, and the third, right? They're going to tell you all these things, right? So you need to know who you are. You need to spend some time with yourself, get to learn yourself, love yourself in order for you to get to learn others and love others. Then you have to, as we often talk about, and as you say so brilliantly and eloquently, realize that, yes, sometimes you have to work twice as hard, but realize also that you are enough. Realize also that you belong. Realize also that you might not feel welcome in certain places, but be bold, be brave, and walk with confidence across that campus or through that school, knowing that you do belong, knowing that you are enough and you have everything you need and more. And the other piece I talked about was really about building strategic partnerships and doing strategic planning. So you're leveling with other people, whether it's the library staff, whether it's the kitchen staff, whether it's the house cleaning staff, all these folks, build those strategic partnerships and make sure you treat everybody with respect. And then in terms of strategic planning, I said, me and my homeboys and homegirls, we sat down, we said, listen, we're a talented group of individuals. We can run this school. And that's exactly what we did. We said, listen, you're going to be a prefect in that dorm. You apply for prefect in that dorm.
Wow.
You're going to make sure you run for student body president. We're going to be the co-presidents over here for the Spanish club. We're going to be the scholar athletes over here. We did that. So therefore, it's like, we're not just talking about it. Yeah, we could be the black kids sitting in the cafeteria, banging on the table, making beats. But when it's time for study hall, we running it. When it's time for community meeting, we running it. When it's time for student council or discipline committee, which I served on, we're running it. Because we put those pieces in place to say, listen, we belong here. As a matter of fact, we run this ish. So really thinking about that and just trying to get that confidence and build a team around you to make sure that you not only survive, but you thrive. And the last piece I gave him, I say, which is my personal mantra, OPE, which is organize, prioritize, and then execute. It's really about just sifting through all the noise and all the nonsense. Organize your thoughts, prioritize what's important, and then get that ish done. Execute. That's something that serves me well till this day. So when I reflect on my experience, it was one of those experiences that if I could do it over again, I would have taken more advantage of opportunities. And I took a lot of advantage of opportunities there, but there were some that I shied away from. I didn't do the sophomore bike trip. I didn't do the semester abroad or some type of summer abroad. I didn't do those things. So I'm like, oh, how am my mother going to pay for it? There would have been things that worked.
Yeah, that would have made it work. Yeah,
they would have made it work. So just thinking about those opportunities, but it was really something that just really helped me grow and understand what it means to come up against something that's different, learn a new culture, learn a new language, verbal and nonverbal, right? I used to joke about there being a white man uniform or prep school uniform. I was joking, kid you not. I was going to my niece's graduation at Episcopal High School in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia. And, Amanda was like, oh, so what you gonna wear? I was like, I'm wearing the white man prep school uniform. She was like, what is that? I was like, blue blazer and khaki pants. She was like, stop joking. I was like, all right. We pull up the campus. I kid you not. 7 out of 10 mofos. 7 out of 10 mofos is wearing the blue blazer, gold buttons, khaki pants. I fit right in. Again, you learn certain things. You learn all those cultural signifiers. So it's an experience, man, and I'm sure that so many people feel affirmed when they see your film because they're like, oh, it's not just me. This has been happening for years. So having that moment to like see ourselves reflected, that whole notion of windows and mirrors, of seeing that mirror, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. So yeah, that's what I would say to that question.
I wish you would be more mindful and think before you speak next time. For anyone who doesn't pick up on sarcasm, that was extreme sarcasm. That was a beautiful answer. You went into strategy. You went into wardrobe. You went into exploration of self. You dropped a lot right there that I think is so powerful and important to hear. And I think as I listened to you, I could also see the energy. When you immediately said like give back. It doesn't have to be said. You are stepping forward as that adult child that you were needed. Think about how we had one black man up in the upper school at Germantown Friends School. We wore him out. Like just go sit in his space. Like I was gonna sit here. And he's teaching another class, but she's like, I know this is 7th grade, whatever, but I just need to be in this room right now. And look at you. And or sit outside the room, the door, and hope that you can have some feelings. So the need, I think one of the needs these schools have is what you articulated, this kind of vision and experience. And you're a generation behind me, relatively speaking, with all of it. And as I said, as I listened, I also thought like, I wonder if we would have been buds in school. I wonder if I would have been too corny for you, and because I have my way of going about that. But also the time I was there, that strategy was unspoken. And it was almost like a shameful thought to need to do it. you know, because like we ain't different, you know, as opposed to like we're different, and we need to talk about it and not just get upset when stuff goes awry and
Mhm.
wrong. You know, I was there back in the days of the 5 Fs: the foods, the flags, the festivals, the fun, you
Mhm.
know, all that stuff. And we had the Black Assembly, and that was
Mm.
kind of it, you know, and some smaller side things that happened. And to, you know, you probably had a more of a critical mass in your time in your
Mhm.
school. It doesn't make it any different or better, but that kind of mindset I think is a powerful one to share with students that are in these institutions, students of color in these institutions, and trying to find their way, because it's so the power of the story and the connection and telling people that they're all right, you know, just we gonna be all right, you know, letting folks know that is crucial. It's crucial. So I appreciate all that you share. It's really um, meaningful, and I love that you're on this journey finding yourself in these spaces. Because when I met you, this wasn't what you were doing.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
you were looking over at it and like feeding on it, you know, but it wasn't what you were doing. It was like tapping, putting your finger in, and then like doing like one course that blows the lid off the school. And I was like, okay, now I go back to my other job. You know, I was like, oh, that was, that was kind of good. Um, bring homeboy back. So it's just wonderful to see you thriving, and I can't see what the future is. And I'm imagining you're doing those things in terms of prioritizing. What was the 3 things?
Organize, prioritize, execute.
Exactly. I'm imagining in terms of your career, because this is me getting to be the older guy at this
Mm.
moment. Like, I hope you are doing that because you have so much to offer.
Mm.
And where you are is great and wonderful right now, you know, but time she passes every day.
Mm.
And I think what you have to offer is worth evaluating and understanding before you become a stay-at-home husband.
Listen, I appreciate and I see wise counsel, good brother. I appreciate all that you have shared. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean that deeply, because I see your knowledge and skill set, and it's fantastic. It's what we need. Um, you have ways of articulating, spreading things out, which is really powerful and great. So
Mhm.
kudos
Thank
and
you.
keep it up. I am
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I
on
mean,
fire.
I have to ask the question, brother, because I know I've been when I worked in admissions, I traveled the country, saw the good, the bad, and ugly of a number of different schools, public, private, parochial, you name it. So I wonder, between you and your experiences that caused you to make the film, The Prep School Negro, you watching it and screening it so many times across the country at a number of different schools, which means you're on their campuses, you're in their spaces, you're seeing the faculty and staff. What new insights or what things have you taken away from that experience? And I know there's a lot, but what are some things that you can talk about and share with folks about the things you've seen with such a keen view because you've been in these spaces, not only gone through it as a student, but gone there as an outsider coming in to bring work that is yours, that's so intimate, and then seeing the reaction and responses and maybe follow up and conversations. Talk to the folks about what that feels like, but then also more importantly, like what things have you learned about
Yeah, the process, you know, I go to all these schools and do screenings and lead conversations and see people go, we didn't know,
that?
you know, and then see people like see students like we've been telling you this, students and faculty, primarily of color, like we've been telling you this for the longest. And it opens up the door to the conversation, which is fantastic to witness and to stand there and like hold it over with my foot. But y'all can't close this now. See it close up my foot in, like, oh, I'm jamming it up. Um, so I have seen really hard and open and deep conversations. And you know, the film was very emotional on numerous levels. And I think people are surprised by them connecting with it. I mean, I'm so lucky. I got an email from someone who had just seen it, who I'd never met, who said, you know, hey, check it out. I went to your school a decade or so before you. We didn't get to interact, but you just told my story,
Mm.
And I didn't know that I needed to see it and hear it in that way. That is the most important thing. All the individual, the group thing is wonderful and great. School changes, they open up conversation, yay, yay, yay. But for me, those individual connections I hear in emails and conversations, those are really the moments that hit me so hard. I've seen people. I will never forget. I was at the Episcopal school here in the Philadelphia area, and I said the phrase psychological homelessness. And I was looking at it, and I saw this girl. It just hit her, and the tears just start flowing, like just start flowing. And she sat there still, and I was kind of like, what just happened, And she came to me afterwards, and like could barely stand, and was like, you just gave language to what I couldn't articulate to a whole room of people that needed to hear it.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Because it comes a point where you do it not autopilot, because I always put my heart and soul into every single experience. But there is a moment like, okay, we're doing this again. Here I am. It's a little bit of a performance, a show, but you know what hits, and you pause and take the moments to let people experience. So I just found the connection has been the most beautiful part. I've made some incredible friends. I made friends that will be in my life forever with people. I imagine, you never know. But I imagine people will be in my life forever. The friends I've met along the path, and we check in time to time, and I reach out to all of them this past week. Like, I just want to reach out to you and say, this is happening. It's on TV, and you're part of this journey. Thank you. Like, deep gratitude, deep gratitude for just supporting me and being there and connecting. Like, thank you. And so I I've learned a whole lot. I learned a lot just now listening to you, hearing like, part two of all this, and what is and what needs to happen, and what you're experiencing, what you can share. Like, that's phenomenal. How lucky am I that I get to see my art impact people. And also it's important for me to say, like, to come back in the face of all the people that told me no, and just like step over them and still keep it going. Because it's easy to go, oh well, and give up. But I was like, no, I just believe in this too much. Let me just see what happens. And then seeing people jump into it, I was like, oh, okay, people related to it. So I've learned a great deal on the path. I learned a lot about myself too, and have had to deal with a lot of things that I live with in my heart and that I walk around with, and I need to reshape and redevelop, redesign. Like, seriously, like, I'm encouraging folks to take the introspective journey, but I had to take it myself. Look at my life and my experience. So it's been intense and wonderful and exciting. I got to shout it out. There's a book I just got by a gentleman. I need to send you a copy. It's called, oh man, let me get this right. It's called The Gray Boy, I think it is.
Okay.
Kid who went to William Penn Charter, and wrote a book about his experience going to Penn Charter and being a upper income kid at Germantown Friends School. It's called Gray Boy: Finding Blackness in a White World. And the author's name is, which I should know by heart, forgive me, Cole Brown.
Okay.
And I picked it up and started reading it. And I read it because someone's like, oh, this book represents your movie. Apparently the movie affected him and he wanted to talk about this. So this cat, Cole Brown, and I saw him a couple of years ago and he gave me a copy. He's like, yo, can I talk to you about my book? And I was like, sure. Thinking like, okay, here comes another. I support you, but just thinking like, okay, whatever. And then, I started getting like tweets and stuff and notices like, yo, your movie is referenced in this book. And I was like, oh, word? And I had a moment of like, I should have read it when he emailed me a copy. Lesson learned. And I'm reading it and it is blowing my mind.
Wow.
Great boy. It's intentional because let's talk about class. He was an upper income kid of color. I don't think he wasn't on scholarship, if I understand correctly. And that, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, that was like when I first got to the school, I had some kids who were like, I need you to know that the kids know that I'm not on scholarship and you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't pull me into this space. And I think that happened. This is another one of the reasons why Prep School Negro had a slow rollout. Because a lot of black people like, this is not my story. And this is shameful, lower income. I'm not attached to it. Let's see, how much can I tell on that? I was walking out of my house the other day and saw a friend for a long time. And she said, oh, I thought I was going to drop this off slide to your mail slide. And she handed me this letter. That was one of the most beautiful letters I've gotten in a long time. And she talked about not understanding my artistry and how she, as a Black woman, had pushed back on the movie because it just revealed too much. It was too heavy for her. And it was an acknowledgement, someone that's been around for a long time. I don't want to say too much because it's not, I don't think this is the realm to reveal all of that. But the big note is someone who pushed hard against a movie, turning around and being like, I apologize for that. I didn't understand your artistry. I didn't understand what you were doing. All I saw felt attacked and too much exposure of Black people, and I felt uncomfortable. And having a relationship with your mother, and she's exposed in ways that were really hard for me to see, which I get. It was hard for me to see. It was my mother. But I had a notion the whole time of like, I am being my full and honest self at this institution. Do not reject it. That was my experience when I was there. When I would come and be like saying acts, and doing this and running around and being too loud and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's who I was. And do I need to completely transition and become what you are? So my immediate fear I had when it came to the students who were students of color who were not on tuition was like, are we going to have any kind of connection? Is that intuitive, immediate connection going to be lost? And that's frightening when you think about a school when there are like 10 of us and 5 of us may not relate to you. Like, that's a scary thought. When they look like you, but they don't sound like you, they don't dress like you, they don't come from where you come from, they don't eat like you.
Yep.
Well, they do eat like you. But everybody once I was frying that chicken, like, I ain't gonna lie. So I think I appreciate the question. It has me going because I've thought about so much. And I think it's, as I step back and think about the both of us answering, I think this is maybe a first, not a first, but it's rare. It happens once in a while where we go into like a deep 10-minute answer, And I think that's because this means so much to us.
Yes.
It is who we are, and it shaped us and who we become. And we're also working to figure out our role in this experience as it relates to our responsibility in the world. So I think that it just taps into all that stuff. So I'm not surprised by us having like 10-minute answers. There's a lot inside of us that needs to come out and be communicated here.
Oh yes, and it's also deeply important, particularly during these times. I mean, you talk about the whole notion of being introspective and the whole notion of learning from situations. Just got another question to ask, brother. I mean, did you learn anything this week from, I don't know, a particular debate? Did you learn anything this week from, I don't know, a particular announcement about new COVID cases? Did you learn anything? Have you had a moment to be introspective about what this means for you? Has it shed or illuminated any light onto what your role or responsibility should be during this time? What are you sitting with, brother, after you've gone through this week? After you've gone through this traveling circus, what are you sitting with?
I went to take a commercial break. I'm really enjoying this.
Brother, listen, can I tell you something? I'm watching you drink that, and it looked like you are gazing into that glass like it's a long lost friend that you have not seen in a long time. You're like, tell me your story. I want to know where you've been. How old are you?
Right. I may consent to tap into it again because it's
please do.
It's good. Like it has a, and I'm not good. Like it has a hint of, but it really has like a very interesting cherry, like filling your mouth taste, and like, you know, the right like sting. Because part of drinking a brown is like the right
Yes.
sting taste. So it has a real this it's real it's really something special.
Mm.
And I'm really enjoying it. I don't know. It's just rye whiskey, you know, because they're rye whiskey. Sometimes you're like,
That's just because sometimes it knock you out. It pump
yeah,
you
totally.
face. But I gotta ask a question for the folks because I don't know, they might be thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Now, if you had to choose, and maybe it's not fair because you know you haven't hit it with the shoulders yet, but
Exactly.
if you talk about Hill Rock and what you got in your cup,
Come on now.
yeah.
Come on now. See, this is you cornering me in the cafeteria. We got a meeting. You coming? You coming to the meeting? André, you coming to the meeting? 5 o'clock, check your schedule. I know you're free. You coming? Prioritize. I can see you in the cafeteria with your hoodie on.
Oh goodness.
It's good, but it doesn't replace the Hill Rock.
Okay,
No.
all right now.
No, the Hill Rock is Sunday afternoon or Sunday afternoon or like Tuesday evening. This Hudson feels like Saturday night.
Gotcha.
You know, like, oh, what's up, y'all? Come through. You know, come through. Hill Rock is like, oh no, that ain't for the party. Put that in the back. You know, that's for when so and so come over and we can sit and have a conversation. That's what when Mikael come, okay, get the Hill Rock out. But he bringing 5 of his friends. Around. What's up, y'all? Have some Hudson. Let's have some Hudson.
Switch around the brown, okay?
Right. Switch around the brown. That Hill Rock is a serious situation. I'm about to put on my prep school uniform. The Hill Rock with a bow tie.
Right, I'm about to say, make you want to put a bow tie on, brother.
The bow tie. The Hill Rock is when the bow ties. I mean, the Hudson is the whole bow ties hanging down. You know.
Oh yeah, okay. Listen, I got you. Okay, that makes sense to me.
Which I'm not mad about. There's a place for both of those.
Mm-hmm.
Place for both of those. So to go back to the question that you asked earlier about this past week and revelations and moments and the Rona having a moment. Let's start here. Let's start with that dang debate. Woo!